know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong.
Welcome to more Fanime. What's up, everybody? Today I want to review Hunter x Hunter's first arc, the Hunter Exam arc, and gosh, did I love reading and watching this arc in the anime. Fantastic beginning to an amazing series. We meet our titular character, Gon, who's a fantastic protagonist. I really didn't like him at first watching the anime, but reading the manga, you really get to know the kid a little bit more. You really get to sink it in, and you get to hyper-focus on what's exactly going on with this kid. He's a little bit of an enigma at first, but slowly but surely you start to understand why he's the protagonist. He's kind of interesting in the fact that, you know, he doesn't blink when there's some kind of danger. It kind of excites him a little bit. But this kid, he's looking for his dad. And that's the main driving force of this kid's motivation is, I want to meet my father, who I never met and thought was dead for many years of my life. This kid runs into a guy named Kite, who apparently is also looking for Gon's father, who is a hunter. There's these hunters in Hunter x Hunter that hunt things of varying of sizes and things, foods, all these weird different designs. I'm kind of interested, because when I first watched Hunter x Hunter, the anime, I thought, okay, so it's going to be about fighting giant kaiju monsters because it's Hunter x Hunter, and you see all these monsters in the imagery. You see all these crazy creatures, but really it's not that. It's not really about hunting monsters. There are hunters that do hunt monsters and creatures and whatnot, but not the ones that we're going to be focusing on. No. I mean, like I mentioned, there's hunters that hunt for food, really delicate foods, and this is not what we're doing here. No, it's going to be more of a battle shonen, but also a very in-depth battle shonen. So Gon makes the decision after talking to this guy Kite, who he meets in his backyard, essentially in the forests where he hangs out with crazy creatures that live in this world that could instantly kill this kid, but somehow he's able to tame these creatures, and I think this is why Gon is so strong for being such a little kid, is he lives in this island with these crazy creatures and whatnot, and he's also the son of fucking a badass. So Kite tells him about his dad, and he's like, well, I'm going to meet him someday, and the only way I can do that is to become a hunter as well. And he also wants to give Kite back something. I think it was like the Kite's hunter, was it Kite's Hunter x Hunter license or something? And is it Hunter x Hunter, or is the X just like a little place there and it's Hunter x Hunter? I think it's just straight up Hunter x Hunter. So Gon decides to head out. He's like, I'm 12 or 11. I'm going to go become a Pokemon master. No, a Hunter x Hunter. And his aunt, God, what's Aunt Pico or some shit? His aunt, who's basically raised him as her own, who's essentially his dad's sister or his dad's cousin. She doesn't want him to become a hunter. She doesn't even want him to meet his dad, because his dad's a piece of shiz. She's been lying to him all these years because she didn't want him to have these thoughts about finding him. But he's going to do it anyway. He's a headstrong kid, and he wants this, and she allows it. He's like, peace out. He heads out. He finds a boat, eventually getting on this boat, meeting some of the other main characters, Kurapika, is that how you say it? And Leorio, and a bunch of other people who want to be hunters as well. This is kind of the beginning of the Hunter exam. In a way, they're kind of being watched at all points in time. It seems like there's this Hunter exam that happens, I think, twice a year. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Biannually, 2 times a year, I believe. And then sometimes people pass and sometimes nobody passes. But during these hunters exams, people can die. What I really like about this series so far is every character looks different. Every character has a different outfit. There isn't an army of ninjas that are all wearing the same outfits, which is kind of cool. Everybody has their own motivations. Leorio wants to be a doctor. Kurapika wants to kill this group called the Phantom Troop, who all have spiders tattooed on them, who killed his clan of people whose eyes turn red when they're angry. Kind of similar to Sasuke from Naruto. I'm not sure how much these eyes power up Kurapika yet, but it does seem really interesting so far. We get to see these guys kind of bond. There's a point where Leorio and Kurapika are going to fight on the boat that they're on, and the dude's like, what are you guys doing? There's a crazy storm happening. Stop it. But Gon saves the Dizzy. They become best friends. These three best friends that anybody can have. They get off the boat. They are the only three, I believe, that passed that were on this boat in the first place. They end up taking off. A lot of those people bounced. They were like, no, 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 no. With those kind of crazy storms, they can't even handle the boat. You ain't going to handle the regular hunter's exams. They end up in this crossroads where this old lady's like, hey, guys, if you want to go to the hunter's exam, you have to answer my questions. And I think the answer used to be like, we're just not going to answer the question, and that's the answer. Some weird shit like that. Leorio got all pissy about it, but luckily they have Kurapika there, a very smart kid. They pass that part. They head towards the actual exams, which turned out they get there and there's like 400 people there, maybe even more. Hell of people made it to the actual exams. It looks like they're in this underground subway-like area. They meet this dude called the Rookie Slayer or some shit, and he's trying to get people eliminated early by giving them diarrhea with these diarrhea sodas. And we meet another new character named Killua. Killua is a very interesting kid. He's a son of an assassin family. He instantly becomes besties with Gon once they meet and start talking about Gon's fishing pole. I haven't even talked about the fishing pole. Gon has the craziest, weird, unique weapon for a main shonen protagonist. He uses a fishing pole, and he's really good at it. He uses it multiple times during this exam to his advantage, and Killua has a skateboard, which is also cool, because you don't really see a lot of skateboards in a lot of shonen anime. They're hanging out, having a great old time. Leorio and Kurapika kind of bond as well during this time. The first exam is them having to walk really fast, speed walking, basically, for a long period of time, basically running. It's an endurance test. All the members run down this long tunnel and eventually get to these long stairs. And as it's happening, people are dropping off like flies. Not a whole lot of people drop off. I'm sure most of the people who made it this far are really athletic, to say the least. Even the kid that's the Rookie Slayer dude, who doesn't look very athletic, he makes it pretty easily. And every year the tests are different. And this guy has done this like 28 times, this Rookie Slayer guy. I don't know if he'll become important later. He's just kind of a foil for them at the beginning of the series, I guess. They make it to the end. They also meet a guy named Hisoka, who's this clown man. Who I was like, okay, Buggy the Clown, what's going on here with this clown guy? He seemed pretty tough, I guess. It's interesting that he's got this like mime type look to him. He's a badass. Even the instructor notices this guy is way too strong to be part of this exam, but okay, let's go. They run into a creature that can transform and pretends to be the examiner. Every exam, every phase has a specific examiner who explains the rules and how you get eliminated and how you pass. This was just the endurance test. Once they get out of that tunnel and the survivors make it that far, they start heading through this forest of evil monsters and creatures, which are kind of where I expected the story to go, with crazy shape-shifting creatures. At one point, the squad ends up meeting some of these creatures that can transform into people. And they try to trick them, but they make it past that whole section of the exam. They end up fighting the clown man Hisoka, who turns out to be the strongest character in the series at this point so far. Hisoka murders a large amount of the people in the exam for fun. He seems to love murder. It's what he's about. It's his favorite thing. It's his favorite hobby. Murdering people left and right. But he lets people live if they intrigue him. And Gon super intrigues him. Hisoka corners Kurapika and Leorio, and they decide to run. But I really like this moment where Leorio decides to stay to give, I think, Kurapika time to run away. Leorio tries to fight Hisoka even though he's well outmatched. Basically everybody in this exam is outmatched with Hisoka except for this dude with needles all up in his face, which turns out to be Killua's brother at the end, which blew my mind. But Hisoka beats some ass, knocks out Leorio. Is really interested in Gon, who stands up to him, and he's like, ooh, this kid could become something interesting to kill later. And, there was a point where I was like, well, maybe Hisoka's going to turn out to be like Gon's mentor down the line, because he seems really interested in him, and even Leorio, who he lets Leorio live and helps Leorio get to the next phase. All our main characters make it to the next phase, which is a cooking contest where they run into these two hunters, a lady and a large man, who both say, hey, if you want to pass this test, you need to make me a roasted pig. And the first one they pass. The second one is she's like, I want some sushi. And not a lot of people know what even sushi is, except another main character of this exam. His name, I forget at the top of my head, is Hanzo. Hanzo's really cool. He's this bald ninja shinobi fella, and he comes from a version of Japan in this world, and he knew exactly what sushi was, and even he couldn't pass this test, which is kind of messed up. She ends up failing everybody, and the exam is over, and I'm like, what is going on with this Shonen Jump manga show story? She ends up failing everybody, but then the leader of the Hunter Society shows up. God, what's his name? I can't remember. This old guy. He shows up. He's got big old long stretched out ears, but he's like the top diggity dog. He's the Master Roshi. He is the old man guy from most shonen exams, but he's really cool. He shows up and he's really, he's got that pervy side to him, but it's not his whole character. He shows up and he tells everybody, hey, we need to give them another chance. We can't just fail everybody here because they couldn't make sushi. So they end up having to dive down this giant cliff to get these spider bird eggs, which is very quickly discussed in the manga. They go right on by it. Our squad gets out of it without a problem, and they explain that hunters can be anything, including hunting for foods, as I've mentioned a couple times during this video. And they try these crazy spider bird eggs, and it's kind of cool. It's way better in the manga, or the anime. They kind of expand on it more with all the way they have to jump down, grab the egg, come back up. It's actually very dangerous. They kind of slide on by. The pacing for Hunter x Hunter is fantastic. He really cuts to the, I think it's Kubo? I don't know. Who's the artist? Please comment down below. I don't know off the top of my head, but he's fantastic. Sometimes the art is a little sketchy, but then sometimes it's very detailed. I don't know. Sometimes he just I only draw what's important to be seen for that current moment in the story. And so from there, they take the squad, everybody who's passed so far, to the next part of the exam on this giant airship. And they end up, Gon and Killua end up fighting the old man, the leader of the Hunter Society, this guy. They end up having a battle with him, and they have to get him they have to get a ball from him. He's dancing with this ball. He's kicking it up in the air, almost like hacky sacking. And they have to get that from him, and they spend hours and hours trying to get this ball from him. Eventually, Killua's like, forget it. Waste of time. This guy's too good. But Gon, the headstrong kid, is like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to make you use your other... Because he wasn't even using his left arm or his right leg or some shit. He's like, I'm going to make you use your other arm. And Gon does, and he kind of sees it as a challenge. And he does get him to do it. Killua, by the way, walks out of the building. He gives up. He's like, there's no point. I'll never win. No matter what I do, I will never get that ball from you. But he's mad. He kills 2 people on the ship where I'm like, where is he going to hide these bodies? I guess he doesn't need to. People die all the time, but you'd think somebody would get eliminated for killing people outside of the phases. They make it to this giant prison, crazy cool prison setup where they have to like find little escape traps to get into. They go into these little holes. Our crew together end up in the same path with the Rookie Slayer fella, and they end up having to fight 5 prisoners as they're slowly going through these rooms where they have to answer yes or no. It's kind of interesting. You're like, does it really matter? It depends on if they want to open these doors, they want to go left, they want to go right. It's kind of fun, kind of video game-esque. They end up fighting these prisoners one at a time, and it's slowly dwindling their time. They have a certain amount of time to get through this prison to pass and move on to the, I believe, not the final phase, one of the final 2 phases. They end up having a lot of cool fights. Kurapika knocks the shit out of his opponent because he's pretending to be a member of the Phantom Troop, and then that ends up wasting all their time because he pretends to be knocked out. Leorio is a test of like, am I telling the truth? Am I not? He fights this girl who's like, am I really a girl? Like, why is there a girl in this prison with these crazy psychos? That was kind of a funny gag moment, but also took away half their time. The Rookie Slayer guy ends up just quitting, going, I don't want to fight any of you because I don't have a death wish. I just like to eliminate rookies. It's what gets me off. Gon ends up winning his fight, which was like a candle that kept melting and melting and melting, and he had like a rigged candle. So Gon, who's actually really smart for some reason, goes and just blows out his opponent's candle before his can go out. He realizes that his candle is so... lit, I guess, as the kids would say. It's not going to go out no matter how fast he moves, so Gon just books it and goes, whoo, I win! It's wonderful. Killua walks in, and he's going to battle it out with some badass murderer that's murdered so many people. This piece of shiz. And Killua, without the dude even noticing, at almost light speed, takes the heart out of this dude, which is still beating. Oh, that scene was sick. Oh, one of my favorite scenes in this entire arc. And the dude slowly dies. He's like, give me back my... Then he dies. Oh yeah, and also on the airship when they were fighting the old man with the ball, there was a point where he's like, get this ball and you can, I'll give you your hunter's licenses right now. And Killua uses this like shadow step thing, this after image, if you watch Dragon Ball, after image ability where he's like moving and there's multiple Killuas. And he was like, whoa, Gon was so intrigued by that ability. And he explains to Gon, like, that's kind of an assassin's ability. I don't think it's your type of thing. I really like Killua. He might be my favorite character in this arc, in this story so far. Him or Leorio. Leorio is kind of my kind of gay. I like how simple and normal Leorio is, but also willing to sacrifice himself for his friends. Love it. Good kid. Good guy. There was like a gag where he's like, I'm only like 19, and he looks like a full-grown man with a little stubble compared to everybody else. They end up passing this exam and moving on to the second to last exam where they have to survive on this island for 3 days and get the passes from everybody. A certain amount, everybody has a target. They have to hunt a target. Gon draws the shitty lot and he has to get Hisoka's fucking badge, which is insane. This whole part was my favorite. My favorite phase of the exam was them having to hunt other hunters. Leorio has to fight this lady who controls bees. Luckily, he again gets help from Kurapika and Gon. Gon willing to sacrifice himself, and he can hold his breath. All these crazy things. But Gon getting Hisoka's badge was sick, because he spends like 24 hours using his fucking fishing pole trying to catch the badge, because he's like, I can't beat Hisoka in a straight up fight. Ain't gonna happen. I love that there's characters like Hisoka who's at this high level of ability right here, and Gon and the squad's way down here. And it just shows us where we're trying to get to. We find out the dude with all the needles in his head. Let's look up his name real quick. His name is Gitarakur is the name of the dude with the needles in his head, but he takes all the needles out. Turns out to be Illumi, who's Killua's brother. He's kind of buddies with Hisoka. They're kind of working together during this exam for some reason. I'm not sure if Hisoka joined just to get a card so he can use the hunter's abilities, so he can keep doing what he loves, murdering and whatnot, fighting. Hisoka's kind of like Goku in a way, because he likes to fight so much. He loves fighting. And he loves finding new opponents to groom. He grooms Gon. He doesn't want him to die. Gon, he's really actually surprised that Gon is able to steal his badge while he's in the middle of a fight. He even lets Gon keep it. And Gon's like, no, you take it. You beat me. Because Gon ends up getting knocked out by another hunter who was slowly stalking Gon this entire time while he was practicing his little whipping thing with his fucking fishing pole. And you're just like, come on, dude, that sucks. How did Gon not even notice this dude? He's so hyper-focused on his goals. It seems that Gon, if he's got something dead set, like finding his dad, he's gonna do it or he's gonna die trying. And I think that's what Gon might end up doing. It's like if he died trying to find his dad, he'd be happy because at least he's trying to succeed within his goals. The squad all passes. Killua easily passes. He's way above most of the other people in this exam, and he's kind of just doing this for fun anyway. Everybody gets on the boat again, the survivors, the ones who made it past this point. And they all enter a tournament bracket, essentially. A really interesting looking tournament bracket. I downloaded it here. Hanzo, Gon, Pokel, Killua, the needle dude, Gitarakur or Illumi, Noshi, Bordoro, Hisoka, Kurapika, and Leorio are our final 9, I believe. A very uneven number for a tournament. They have to fight it out, and it's not really about who wins, it's really about who loses. If you win, you pass, but if you lose, you face another loser, and the losers keep going until there's only one loser, and really everybody else is going to pass. So it's kind of a cool deal for everybody who've made it this far. I don't know why they made this decision, because they could have made it so only one person passes. I guess it's really up to the head of the Hunter Society. And he decided, hey, I think all these guys are fantastical. I think they all deserve a chance at being a hunter, and except for one. They end up fighting it out. Gon goes toe-to-toe with Hanzo, the ninja guy, who's, again, very strong. But I don't think he's at Hisoka's level, but he's a tough SOB. He's been training to be a ninja for years. But Hanzo's way stronger than Gon, keeps whipping his ass, giving him a concussion. He even breaks his arm. It made me think of Talladega Nights, where he's like, I'm going to break your arm. He's like, unless you say crepes, I'm going to break your arm. And Gon refuses to quit. And Hanzo's like, hey, you're going to have another shot. You don't need to beat me to become a hunter. And he's like, yeah, but I'm not going to quit. I'm not a quitter. I want to see my father. And he's like dead set, but he's not mad at Hanzo for breaking his arm. He's not mad at the situation, but he's like, I want a fair fight with you. But he's like, I'm way stronger than you. You don't understand. He's like, what do you want me to do? Tie my arms and legs together and we'll fight like that? Is that the only way we're going to get to settle this? To a point where after he breaks his arm and Gon still won't give up, Hanzo's just like, fuck it. I like you, kid. I like your determination. I give up. You win. You have beaten me out for hours. This dude was beating his ass. I think Gon passes out at some point. He ends up leaving and getting taken away. And we don't even get to see the rest of the exam, I believe, except through Gon waking up in basically a bed, and he's like, you passed, because Hanzo gave up. And we're like, well, I want to see the rest of that fucking tournament, man. And one of the examiners is talking to Gon, talking about how badass him winning was, and he's like, I really think you're great. I'm glad you were able to make it this far. And he's like, well, who didn't pass? And we find out that Killua is the one who failed. And we get a little bit of a flashback, luckily, and we get to see most of the other fights. Hanzo ends up easily taking out one of the opponents. I think he's a dude with a bow and arrow. Pokal or some shiz. But when we get to Kurapika fights Hisoka, and I thought that was going to be sick. But no, Hisoka basically gives up and tells Kurapika something like, I know where the Phantom Troop is, and gives up. So there's some kind of connection there. And they're going to meet up later to discuss that. From there, Killua ends up fighting his brother, who's the dude with all the needles in his face, which is super disturbing. When he takes all the needles out in the anime and his face like contorts, and he's just like, "Hi, brother, how are you? I am here because I need to become a hunter for my next mission as an assassin." I'm like, what is going on with this family? And he's like, "You are not allowed to have friends, Killua. You are also not allowed to become a hunter without my permission. You will stop this now, or I will kill Gon." And everyone's freaking out. Even Leorio's like, "I'll fuck you up, boy. You're not going to touch Gon. He's passed out in another room." And Killua eventually goes, "Hey, fuck it, don't kill Gon, okay? I give up." And then he's like, "I was just kidding. Wasn't that funny?" And then, Illumi passes, who's also absolutely badass. God, I'd love to see him fight Hisoka. I want to see Hanzo fight Hisoka in this arc, honestly. I want to see how strong that Hanzo guy is. I really like Hanzo. I do. I think he's a cool character. His fight with Gon was my favorite in this arc because of how interesting it was. Like, Gon was so weak compared to Hanzo, and it just shows how far Gon has to go. And this is just the beginning. I really think that the Hunter's Exams is just as good as the Chunin exams from Naruto. I think they're on the exact same level of really good storytelling, really good fights, really good things. I would say that in a way, Hunter's Exams is more exciting because, we're not hyper-focusing on one character. It really isn't just about the main character. Everybody has a little bit of shine. Everybody has a moment. I really appreciate that. But, I'm a huge Naruto fan as well, so it's kind of hard for me to go like, well, the Hunter Exam is way up here. I would say they're right on the level. I don't think any character shined for me like somebody like Rock Lee or Shikamaru did from the Chunin Exams. I really love their stuff, but I'm really interested in all the characters in Hunter x Hunter, and not just a couple, like from Naruto, like Neji and whatnot, the most badass. But man, I really, really enjoyed it. Leorio, Kurapika pass. Killua ends up getting disqualified because he ends up killing some old man that's also part of the finals, who really wasn't much of a character either during the entire arc. He was just there to be murdered during Leorio's fight, which kind of gives everybody a free pass. They all end up passing. Killua ends up going home to his assassin familia. And that's it. Gon is like, I'm going to go get Killua away from this fucked up Hills Have Eyes murdering assassin family. I'm going to take him away and show him what the power of friendship really means. And that's what Gon's goal is right now. I assume that my next review will be on that part of it, him going to find Killua. And he's actually going with Kurapika and Leorio, luckily, because Gon is very illiterate on like technology and buying tickets to things like buses and planes and whatnot, but they're kind of explaining there is technology in this world. There are computers. It's kind of hyper advanced for a series that was written in like 1999. This is more Fanimates. If this is your first time watching one of these videos, please don't forget to comment down below. Let me know what you thought. And don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me out with those YouTube algorithms. I'll talk to you later.